I'm ready.
Just want to make sure you're ready, brother.
Show me the money.
Oh, you didn't know?
Every day I'm hustling. Every day I'm hustling. Every day I'm hustling.
Put my shoes on, you wouldn't last a mile.
Summertime, wintertime, I'm on the grind. Yeah, I got the ring, I'm the champ, I'm the genie of the lamp.
This is the gift I was given, so I just live by my hustle.
It's all about the Benjamins, baby. Yeah. It's all about the Benjamins, baby. Yeah. It's all about the Benjamins, baby.
Yeah, I put it in my pocket, it don't make sense, but don't make a profit. It's all a hustle, ladies and homies. Make money, money.
Call out here for a pill. When they tryna get this money for the real.
I want to find a thing to save my life, so I hustle.
It ain't over for me. No, it ain't over for me.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
Show me the money!
Okay, let's go smoke that joint.
What up? What up? What's going down, everybody? We got our IDP awards.
Hell yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Super stoked about this. If it's your first time here on YouTube, make sure you go subscribe, Fantasy Football Hustler. Make sure you subscribe to IDP Army. We're streaming on 2 YouTube channels today, so first time ever. Pretty dope. Let's get into everybody who's on the panel today. Start off with IDP Iggy, my man. Shout it out. Where can everybody find you at?
Hey, what's up, guys? Glad to be here, just like the Bears in the playoffs. So happy to be here. And you can find me at IDP Iggy, and then my website is Iggy's Deep Dive. So that's where you can find all my content, all my information.
And Iggy is a part of the 420 crew, so don't get it twisted. He's going to fit right in on the show.
Keep it real.
What up, Jono? What's going down, bro? And then Derek, what up, bro? And then we got my man, IDP Army himself, my man Jordan.
What up, y'all?
Yeah, bro.
Jordan Reigns at 50 Shades of Drunk if you're on Twitter. We have the IDP Army YouTube account as well. We're streaming on there. So shout out to the IDP Army, everyone that's watching over there. Hopefully we'll see some of y'all in here. And I write at Dynasty Nerds, and I shitpost on Twitter, and I have a podcast. So, and I'm happy to be here with my man, Fantasy Football Hustler.
Jordan keeps it real. He's one of the guys who I fuck with, especially in the IDP space. Yeah. So if you guys don't follow him yet, I know a bunch of my followers already follow him. They already shouted him out in Twitter comments and tagged us in the same thing. So that's what's up. And last but not least, my man Patrick, Fantasy Philosophers, my homie in the IDP space. What is up, bro?
What's up, y'all? Glad to be here. Huge thanks for the invite. It's a pleasure joining y'all. Super excited. Y'all can find me on Twitter at FPS_Patrick. Real quick, my partner and co-host Dustin, who's not here, I do recommend you give him a follow on Twitter as well. That's FPS_Dustin. Let's get rocking, man. I'm ready.
I'm excited about this. We had the polls up on Twitter for, I think, about 5 days. We know who the winners are, and I'm a little surprised by some of them. But what are your guys' thoughts, Jordan? Give me your thoughts real quick on just you can give a quick 30-60 second synopsis on the IDP year of 2020. What would it be?
I mean, it was a good year to be a Steelers fan. TJ Watt taking home the sack title. Love that. I love my man TJ Watt. He was my first IDP trade I ever made for, so I love my man TJ Watt. Jamal Adams, the hater said it wasn't going to happen. They said he's going to regress. Comes out, plays 12 games, gets 9.5 sacks. What are you going to do? I mean,
Beast.
call for it again, because this time it's a slam dunk, but I don't know. He's special. And Buda Baker, I mean, just counting up tackles. That's all this motherfucker do. So
that's the truth.
I mean, everybody's like it's a weird year. Nah, I mean the good stay good. So
Yeah,
I love it.
Cream rises to the top, baby, every time.
Yep.
All day, every day. That's what's up.
Hell yeah. What do you think, Iggy? What's your quick synopsis about the 2020 season if you had to round it out in a nutshell?
It happened. I knew it was going to happen. People were hating on me for saying it was going to happen. In the IDP world, it was the usual suspects: Bobby Wagner, T.J. Watt coming in big hot, Blake Martinez, Joe Sherbert showed up late, Denzel Ward. There's some rookies, man. Some rookies made some big impacts for us. We're going to get into that later too. And my boy Zadarius Smith, man, he's the king. I love it.
Baller for sure.
Zadarius.
Patrick, round out the 2020 season. What are your IDP thoughts for this year?
First and foremost, huge thanks to you, Fantasy Football Hustler. You the man. You put me on IDP. I've been playing fantasy sports for over 20 years. No clue why I had never decided to dabble in IDP until I met you. Game changer. If you're not in IDP leagues and you're playing fantasy football, you just try it. Try it. Mark my words. There's no coming back. You will be so grateful. There's suddenly so many more players and trade assets available. It just game changer for me. I love it. Thanks again for introducing me. I'm here to stay, man. IDP for life.
Hell yeah, bro. That's the only way to get it going. I mean, I can't play with team defense anymore. Like, I hate it. It's too much random shit. And I don't like that everyone gets credit if, just the linebacker gets something or, one person gets a sack. Like, it's not the way it works on offense. Why does it work like that on defense?
Or, real quick, the classic, the quarterback throws a pick six. Obviously, that team scores 6 points, hurts your team defense that isn't even on the field. Terrible.
Yeah, that's really dumb.
Bullshit all around. My man Cody up in the building said, good to see y'all. Ready for a great show. Hell yeah. So Cody is with the Fantasy Football Dynasty, and he's going to be coming in for our Hustler Awards on Thursday when we're doing our offensive show. Thanks for showing up, brother.
Boss.
What's up,
and Thomas Jones, what up, bro? Said, much love, Hustler. Thanks for showing up, brother, from Facebook. There we go. Hit the like button wherever you guys are right now. Smash the like button. Throw some comments in. We're going to be smoking. We're going to be drinking all night. My quick thoughts of the 2020 year is you got to have yourself some young studs. Like that. There was guys like, Jeremy Chin just coming out of nowhere. Patrick Queen. If it's someone who's drafted in the first round and they're going to be, a starter right off the bat in game one, you better be paying attention to that person. That's all I'm going to say. Because if you come in as a first-year player and you're starting on defense, strong safety, middle linebacker, whatever it is, you know that guy is going to be a hog talent-wise. So watch out for these young guys. And glad to see guys like Devin White taking someone who, had he not got hurt, I don't know. He might have been contention, for Defensive Rookie of the Year last year. Getting hurt, cost him a couple games. But, man, showed out all year, man. He was one of my favorite players last year, and I had him on a couple leagues and almost rode him to a championship. But Derek Carr failed me in that week that he got hurt and literally cost me the game. But
that's tough.
It's also real interesting, and obviously fantasy football and real life football, they are different. I'll be the first to say it. But it's interesting to see, these defensive players, the rookies, like where they were drafted. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe I recall the Seattle Seahawks took a linebacker out of Texas Tech, Jordan Brooks, then Ravens, very next pick, smash, Patrick Queen. How do you pass on Patrick Queen? I don't know anything about Jordan Brooks, so who knows? Maybe he's right there with them. I was shocked to see that, and from what I saw this year, I still don't know what they were thinking, but that's
a Pete Carroll thing, man. Like, just go crazy. Just like
you had him. You had him.
Got him.
You had him.
That's a Pete Carroll move.
It's like, nah, this is too much of a Baltimore Ravens type linebacker. I'll just let them take him. Come on.
To his credit, though, he does have Bobby Wagner right beside him. Just
Jordan
eating
Brooks
up all of those tackles, man.
He's going to blow up. He had a couple of good games this year. He had one 13, 14 tackle game, and then he finished out the season with a pretty nice game too, if I'm not mistaken.
Do you remember who he stepped in for? Because I know he played because someone got injured. Was it
KJ Wright? Right.
KJ Wright. He was injured.
Finished out the season, 11 tackles, Nothing. 2 tackles, 8 tackles, 9 tackles. That ain't bad.
Yeah.
When you got
It's not
someone like
bad, and
I was upset that Jordan Love went to Green Bay instead of Jordan Brooks. I would have much rather had Jordan Brooks, but Martin's filled in
that
pretty
would have
good with
made
another
more
late round
sense
pick.
for the Packers. Absolutely. I agree. And you know, that's just me. When you get a chance to get a linebacker from LSU, you know, especially someone who's produced such as Patrick Queen and Pete Carroll is just like, I'll take this Texas Tech linebacker that personally I had never heard of. But again, I'm new to IDP. It blew my mind. I mean, we could go look at where they stand fantasy-wise, comparing them next to each other, but I think that'd be a waste of time. But we'll see how it pans out. Only time will tell.
And I think,
Patrick Quinn's a
what
stud,
what
no
up
doubt
to
about it.
Antonio first? And I think just like if you look on the offensive side of the ball, who's got the opportunity to actually get in there and start quicker? Like it was easier for Queen to get in there and start and get more percentage of the snaps even from game one.
Did he not just take over from day one? I mean, that's what it essentially seemed like. I'm not an avid Ravens fan or follower, so I don't know for sure. It just seemed like he was on the field.
Seems like they were trying to fill CJ Mosley's shoes still. They hadn't really had a guy to replace him. And that's part. I said it earlier. The Ravens defense has been one of the most reliable rosterable defenses over the past decade. And those people are changing.
Yeah.
So it has to do with their philosophy and how they do things. And I think Patrick Queen is a great replacement for CJ Mosley. And he could be a lifetime Raven as well.
Yeah, I thought he was the best linebacker coming out of that draft personally. Yeah, sky's the limit for Patrick Queen. Great first name, by the way.
All right. Well, how about we get into our first award for the night? And it is for defensive lineman clutch performance in championship week. And Patrick, why don't you go ahead and read out the nominees?
All right. So nominees, we have Sheldon Richardson, Cameron Jordan, Randy Gregory, Chase Young. And the winner of defensive lineman clutch performance in the championship week by 60% of votes, Chase Young. This guy had 4 tackles, 1 sack, 1 forced fumble, and to top it off, 1 fumble recovery, week 16, clutch championship week from a defensive lineman, Chase Young.
Someone who definitely, if you were riding him, helped you ride off into the sunset. That is for sure. And I know he got hurt for a little while. I can't believe how much hate was coming from some of these. I don't even know what online magazine was saying that he was looking like one of the bigger busts, in history for like defensive players. I was like, what the fuck are they watching? This guy is an animal.
That's probably trolls of New York Giant fans that realize had they just lost that one game to the Redskins there at the end of last season, they would have Chase Young. The guy is phenomenal. Everything that I heard about him appears to be true. If you have him in Dynasty IDP, congratulations. You're set for the next decade or so.
I do have him in a lot of IDP dynasties. Thank you.
It's got to feel great.
It feels pretty good. I wish he would have got the 10 sacks this year. I would have liked that a little bit more. But like you said, he finished out the season with like that 40-something point game, 4, but then he had that big week championship week, 25, and then last week he had 19. So, yeah, things are looking up. He finished out the season strong, and I like that whole line is set up. So,
yeah.
I'm not surprised that he won, that performance of the week, because he's a player too that, these other guys that were even in contention. I mean, Randy Gregory, people weren't probably playing him. Sheldon Richardson, people probably had him and Cam Jordan in lineups. Maybe you didn't have Cam Jordan though, because he'd been so shitty all season. So, Chase Young was in people's lineups. So, he did help people win. So I'm not surprised that he's the one who won 60%. He's one of our bigger margins of winning too. So.
Yeah, I noticed that as well. Good point. Chase Young.
Good on the rut.
The
Did it
football
as a
team.
rookie. What's next,
Playoffs
man? Playoff bound. I'm excited, man. I'm excited.
Coming for Tom Saturday.
He's ready. He's shouting it out, man.
Look out, old man. Look out.
You gotta love that. He's hyped to get in the backfield and smash Tom Brady.
Dude, Tom Brady looks old. It's crazy. But he threw like how many 40 some odd touchdowns? But he looks
to be
like
fair,
an old guy.
He is old, to be fair.
He is old.
You
And
know.
it's crazy. I'm just like, this dude's insane. Like, what is going on right now? We'll never see anything like it again, probably.
Yeah.
The dude's gotta like, I don't know. He's gotta like drink, like take baths in like, in crazy like, I don't know, soy milk or something.
Hey man, when you got the money he has, there's no telling. But it's working, whatever it is. So salute to him.
It's crazy how much of a game changer Chase Young is right now, because those 2 games or whatever he was out, Washington's defense looked horrible without him.
Great point. Yeah, and I mean that's a stout defensive line that, for those of us who are just watching football regardless of if our team is playing or not, I mean, this guy was producing throughout the year, playing on a line where there are other studs. I believe they were all first-round picks at one point. So, I mean, amazing.
Yeah,
I'm excited to see that game. I think Washington they might upset Tampa. We shall see. That'd be pretty funny.
That just as an Alex Smith fan,
it's not gonna.
I'm
happen.
all for it, man.
Let's be realistic.
I wouldn't bet money on it, but
that's
I'll be cheering for the Washington football team.
I don't think White will be back from protocols by then.
I don't think so either.
I thought he was going to get to 10 sacks this last week. I was so sure of it, and then he was out of that game. I was pissed.
Didn't even think about that.
I was pissed. Yeah. I don't even have money teams. I was pissed.
Well, that's why I enjoyed IDP so much, because the few leagues that I do IDP in, I have Devin White in most of them. So that's probably why I enjoyed it. But yeah, Devin White, hell of a player for sure. It'll be interesting. I'll be looking forward to that game.
In the league.
Don't discredit my boy Levante David, man. I've been playing IDP for a decade. He took me to a championship like 9 years ago. I've always been grateful for him. I'm glad he's getting out.
Agreed.
I'm glad he's getting some national television game, man. He's been so good for so long and nobody knew who he was. So it's about time.
That's a fact. I agree with everything you said. Absolutely. Any other closing comments about Chase Young or just the defensive lineman clutch performance championship week?
I'm just going to remind you, Patrick, that I got Devin White and Chase Young in the Dynasty League that we are in together. Woo.
You know what?
That's nasty.
I actually already knew that. But with that being said, I feel okay about my IDP players, but I really like the trades that I made at the end there in that league, and we'll save that for another episode, of course, but we'll see what happens next year. I'll just leave it at that.
I'm ready. I'm already getting ready for it.
Same, man. Same. All right, so moving right along, defensive back, clutch performance championship week. And here are the nominees: Trey Boston, Mike Hilton, Darnell Savage, Cameron Curl. And the winner, who took 45% of the votes, Cameron Curl. How many of you knew who that was before this year?
I mean,
clutch performance. Doesn't matter. Cameron Curl, clutch performance, week 16, 8 tackles. Let's see. Also threw in a pick, I believe. Yep. So 8 tackles plus an interception from Cameron Curl. Washington football team. Clutch performance there. Real clutch.
Before I give my thoughts, Magley Zach on Twitter says, "Who's more stoned, Jordan or the Hustler?" I'll let you guys decide.
Hustler for sure. Hustler for sure.
I've been pre-partying and smoking this entire time. And Russell Mavis says, "Thank you, Levante David is the real IDP Army, or is the real, and then IDP Army represent." That's what's
Yeah.
up.
Nice.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
really glad that you did bring David up, because I agree. The fact that just minimal nationally televised games, just not many people know who the guy
Sucking ears.
is. I mean, but this guy has just been a beast for so long. So yeah, he was definitely worth mentioning. So thanks for bringing him up. But yeah, who would have thought we'd be giving the defensive back clutch performance award to no other than Mr. Cameron Curl.
Under the radar. Under
Both
the
Darnell
radar.
players
Savage
are from the-
killed me.
Both these players
mean-
are from the Redskins too.
Yeah. The Reds-
I'm seeing the
kinda crazy.
trend.
It's kinda crazy.
It's the football
Are
team.
things looking up?
It's the football team. Look out, they're
Well-
coming for you.
Uh-oh.
Cam Curl, like, dude, his percentage, I swear, never rose in leagues. Like, it never changed. And I swear it was like 6 games in a row where he knocked off like 6 or 7 solo tackles, something like that. But he was on a tear. I don't know how
Just
he
listen
wasn't
to
more on the map other
Listen
than
to these numbers. After his bye, week 9, these are his
After the
finishes.
bye.
IDP 1, 2, 3. 27 points, 24 points, 15, 13, 15, 40.6, 14, 24. Championship week. Woo! I'm out of breath.
And just to go one step further, now, of course, this is scoring format dependent, but in our Dynasty League, Alex, as far as defensive backs are concerned, he ended the year as the number 3 defensive back. Shocking.
yeah, and that is going to be dependent on
Not
league
the 1, 2,
scoring.
3, but
What was he in IDP 1, 2, 3?
I'm
Jordan.
looking right now. Give me 1 second. I'm trying because they don't have the numbers by him on the computer, so I got to count one.
And I think
he
so.
he was rostered in the listener league. I looked for him. I remember looking for him somewhere after that bye week, but that's a 16 team league with 6 IDPs starting every week. So
He
you
came in 19.
19th. There you go.
He came in right behind Logan Ryan, who had another awesome season. People were kind of dumping on him over the summer. And then Kari Willis. So he was sandwiched between them. He came in ahead of guys like Sorensen, who was hot there for a second. Harrison Smith, Keanu Neal. He came in ahead of Antoine Winfield, Minka Fitzpatrick, Chuck Clark, John Johnson. And he didn't even really start playing until week 6, 7, was it? Whenever Curl started playing some serious snaps.
When
So
Collins went down.
and people
Collins
are
went down.
people are already kind of like fading him. Like it's kind of weird. I'm seeing people like, oh, Cameron Curl, too bad he won't be useful until after Landon Collins is gone. I'm like, why? Like, why is that? You don't know that. You're not the coach. You're not, you're just some guy. Like, why would you say that? We just saw this dude and PFF is obsessed with this guy and they hate rookies. So I don't know.
Action speaks louder than words. After that bye week, look at the production. When you got a guy consistently producing and helping your football team win, why in the world would you take him off the field? Why?
He's got that amazing defensive line to help him out so much and force bad throws. There's going to be all kinds of opportunities there next year. Jack Del Rio is one of the greatest defensive coordinators in the league, as far as I'm concerned. You got Ron Rivera, that's a defensive-minded head coach.
Yeah, they're not just going to put Landon Collins out there, coming off a major injury. I mean, that's just stupid. And this guy's gotten hurt before.
Agreed.
Why would, play him sparingly?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And we're seeing more teams adopt that 3 safety, somehow in their formation. So who knows? We've seen crazy shit happen, but I don't know how you deny him and keep him.
2 rookies too. 2 rookies and 2 Washington Redskins to start off this award show.
Man,
never would have thunk it.
Hey, for all those Washington football team fans, soak in that moment because I know it's been a hot minute. So things are looking bright. Things are looking bright.
These champs, man. Those probably were 1,000 to 1 odds for that to happen. I mean, if we were betting on that, that would have never hit.
Never.
Right.
So let's hop into the third award that we have here. It's our last clutch performance in a championship week, and it's coming from a linebacker this time. And Iggy, why don't you go ahead and read off the nominees?
All right, guys. Like you said, championship week, the guy that either helped you win or destroyed your heart. And I'm on the second end of that. So we have Roquan Smith, Joe Sherbert, Devin White.
Gotta love it.
I love it.
Devin White and Fred Warner. And the winner is Devin White, 33%. Just edged out these other guys because I'm sure so many of these other guys broke people's hearts and won people some leagues too. But I'm going to pull out some stats real quick using it's a hashtag 123 IDP that Jordan talks about. That I guess you created it, right, Jordan?
I mean, yeah, I branded it that way.
You branded it.
I mean, I'm sure somebody somewhere has this set up and they've had it that way for years, but I'd never heard about it. But yeah, that's my baby.
And I'm gonna be, and for all my IDP leagues, I'm gonna be adopting the IDP 123 format. So it's legit and it's something to get behind, and it just makes things really easy, you know. So yeah, that's IDP 123 scoring. That's what I'm changing all my leagues to it.
Breaking down.
Dude, I've heard a lot of chatter about that as of late. So
good.
I have. I really have.
The listener league, so we kind of use that off the podcast. The only modification I think is I'm like really into big bonus points. So we got 5 extra points for the 10 tackles because he had 10 solo tackles. He had 1 sack, 2 tackles for loss. He had, what is that stat? 3 quarterback hits, rounding out 40.6 points in week 16. Just ripping my heart out in my listener league, and just no respect, just throwing it on the ground and smashing on it, and never giving me much hope after that. But I'm sure a lot of people loved him. I love Devin White, Devin Bush. They're gonna be compared in my mind their whole career, coming out together, kind of being high-ranked linebacker picks. Obviously the first names, but I just think Tampa Bay's trending. He has probably learned so much from Levante David 2 years together.
For sure.
You know,
Definitely.
Todd Bowles over there, one of the best defensive coordinators. If you play IDP, man, you won't hear it a lot, but defensive coordinators are so important. Why do Wade Phillips always produce studs? Because he's Wade Phillips. You know, why are they thriving in Washington? Jack Del Rio, you know, Todd Bowles. These guys are good. Okay, they don't oftentimes get great recognition as head coaches, but even Vic Fangio, you like Khalil Mack, you like these guys. Well, that was all Vic Fangio, man.
Yep,
I don't know.
Great point.
So, but Devin White, 33%. What would you guys? I'm going to pass it off to y'all. Anything to add to that?
I think I nominated. Did I nominate Fred Warner? I think I did. No, I
actually nominated Warner. Ironically, in the one league, I went to the championship in 3, only won 1, but that one league, I had both Devin White and Fred Warner. So
nice. Yeah, Schobert, I mean, that was a 33-point game. That was his second highest total of the season. So it was nice for him to have that, you know, when it counted most. And Fred Warner was a great pick too, because he didn't do shit all season, and he's going to finish.
Tell me about it.
He's going to finish the top linebacker on the back of the last 2 weeks of the season. Literally, he had more tackles the last 2 weeks of the season than he had the 7 weeks leading up to that. So I'm just like, I don't want to hear about Fred Warner this offseason. I'm glad he had won somebody a championship, but I'll tell you what, every league I had him in, he was on the bench that week because he was booty.
It was hard, man. Trust me, it was real hard. The rest of my team carried me. I just said, you know what? I know the man's talented. I'll feel sick if I bench him and he goes off like I think he can any game he plays in, and it worked out. I got lucky. You know, that's the thing. Yeah. To win, you got to have some luck on your side for sure.
It's hard to go under double-digit points in IDP 1-2-3 scoring. Like, it's hard to do that the way it's set up. He went under double-digit points 1, 2, 3, 4 times this season. And just for context, Roquan Smith went under double digits once. Joe Schobert went under double digits once. Devin White, I don't think he went under at all. He went under twice. That's interesting, but he still finished number 1. But that just gives you some context to like how low the floor was for Fred Warner this season. So, but I'm glad that he had I'm glad he got nominated because he did pop at the right time.
Yep, even if it was just that 1 week. And then I nominated Roquan, who balled out with 8 solo tackles and 2 interceptions. Like, man, he's a monster. Having him to ball out.
He's a monster. He's unreal. Oh,
yeah, monster of the midway, man. It's back. So
yeah, he's scary. He's still only 23, and you're looking at your 3rd year of like solid production out of him already.
Yeah,
like not solid. Like he went from being 2 years of solid production to like now he's like the linebacker too. Like,
Yeah.
Right.
and he's 23. Like there are guys coming out this year that'll be 23.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's why I was so high on
Facts.
Tremaine. They're coming out young at the linebacker position. It's kind of like a power forward or something for basketball. They're just sending them out early because they're physically gifted enough to handle it. You know, that's the truth.
If you're just that huge and that fast and can just dominate people like that, like you got no reason to. I mean, get up to the NFL, tackling these grown men.
All college is going to do is put you in debt.
Yep.
Yeah, dude, go make that money, baby.
And there we go. We got someone here who said if they'd vote on it, they'd be going to IDP 123 next season. So that's Malacudi3 on Twitter. So got to get everybody behind it. Got to get some consistency behind these IDP leagues. This is a way to do it.
Yes, sir. Preach.
Absolutely.
All right. So how about our fourth category? We're getting into the yearly categories now. So cornerback of the year. Go ahead and read out the nominees, Iggy.
All right, let's get it rolling. We got Malcolm Butler, Marlon Humphrey, Xavier Howard, Jalen Ramsey. And the winner is Xavier Howard, 42% of the vote. So not the majority, but still a pretty significant amount of it. It's a pretty well-rounded guys. And I said it at the beginning of the podcast. Shutdown corners are not necessarily the best fantasy corners. All right, they're great in the ideal in the real world, but shutdown corners shut down people and don't get opportunities to make plays. So it's pretty amazing that Jalen Ramsey, Marlon Humphrey, I think you would pretty much in everybody's IDP consensus, those guys are going to fall somewhere in the top 3, in my opinion. Top 5, I'll say, to be nice. But then you have not too well known about Xavier Howard playing down there for Brian Flores in a great defense, getting some credit finally. It's amazing because he had 20 passes defended. He had 10 interceptions, which is really difficult to do. J.C. Jackson had 9 and a couple forced turnovers, and he didn't even get a mention because he was on a bad team for the most part. But I think Xavier Howard I don't think it was a fluke season. I think that defense is really well built, and I think that defense is going to get better. People are probably going to get really pissed when they take another defensive player with their 3rd overall pick. But I don't see it going anywhere. But for 2020, I don't know why people even attempted to throw on him. I mean, I think towards the end of the season, he had an interception, I think, in 6 or 7 straight games. Do you have his IDP numbers, Jordan, by any chance?
No, I'm sorry. I was actually looking at Marlon Humphrey, but give me 10 seconds and I can get it.
Yeah, and while he pulls that up,
we got it.
Worth mentioning,
I got it.
Thinking about the guy that lines up across from him at the other cornerback position, Beast. I don't know what his fantasy stats were, but
he had an interception. I mean, he had one in week 3, week 4, week 5, week 6, and then he had one in week 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. He had a forced fumble in week 15, and then it was quiet week 16, and then had another interception. So he basically had an impact play basically every single week. Just
but
like
it is also like some of your defensive linemen are sack dependent for points, though. He is very INT pass deflection point dependent. Yeah. I have his biggest week, Jordan, in our league at 28 points week 11 against Denver. Yeah.
Yep.
So
hell of a season.
And I swear that I heard that they said Miami was the only team in history that forced a turnover in every single game this year. Am I wrong on that? Maybe I heard that wrong or something, but
wouldn't surprise me, man. The way that defense played, I think Brian Flores is the best thing to happen to Miami in a long time. So things are looking real nice over there.
And just his interceptions, we just read off like 3/4 of the season just from his interceptions.
I want to take a second though to bring my nomination for this was Marlon Humphrey and Xavier Howard. He had 10 interceptions, which is dope. Marlon Humphrey had 8 forced fumbles this season.
Yeah.
that led the league at corner. I mean, just in the league period, but I mean that's at cornerback too. He had an interception as well, 2.5 sacks. So he was a busy boy too. He didn't win this. Obviously, the people gave it to Xavier Howard, but I think Marlon Humphrey, if he wouldn't have had that COVID week too, like he sat out a week too, and he still finished in the top 12. If you take that COVID week out of there, I mean, like I was just reading off, Fred Warner had all these bad weeks. I mean, this is Marlon Humphrey, 14, 20, 16, 23, 21, 28. 6, 10, 18, 25, 8, 21. I mean, this dude was just like, I mean, it was elite. The season he had for IDP was awesome. And you had 3 corners on that team you could really play with him and Marcus Peters and who's the other guy? Oh, Chuck Clark is who I'm thinking. So you had 3 defensive backs. You had 3 defensive backs on the Ravens that were pretty good this year for IDP. So.
Well, Ravens had 3 of the top 5 forced fumbles too. Because I put that stat up today, and they had 3 of the top 5. That's coaching. That's more than just individual play. It goes back to, like I say, in Ravens being one of the most reliable rostered positions with their
That is the Ravens defense.
And I nominated Humphreys too. He didn't win it either, but I put him in the Golden Hands Award. I think Xavier Howard won that as well. Yeah, I'm looking at it down here, but I mean, like we're talking Golden Glove,
alert.
knocking out 8 balls, a season, leading the league. I mean, when the guy in second place has got like 4 or 5, and this is like Myles Garrett, people that are getting dubbed all pro, farting in the wind, show Marlon Humphrey a little bit of respect.
I know it was close. It was only like between a percentage point or 2 between them. So it was super, super close.
I just got to shout him out because he didn't win anything, unfortunately. Marlon Humphrey, I rode for you, my dude. Sorry.
There's a few players I feel the same way about.
He did
for
tweet
sure.
something kind of stupid like an hour or 2 ago. I was kind of dumb. He tweets some dumb stuff sometimes. He's a good guy, I'm sure.
Marlon Humphrey's watching this show right now. He doesn't know if he's going to win or not. We don't want him to tune out. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you're watching, bro, like you might win.
Just fucking around. That'd be hilarious if he was. No way in hell, though. All right. So, next award here, Defensive Tackle of the Year. And Iggy, go ahead and read out the nominees.
I have a feeling this one, gentlemen, will be one that we can all agree on. I probably have to take a toke on this here in a second or something. But Defensive Tackle of the Year, we got JPP, that's Jason Pierre-Paul down there in Tampa Bay. Quinnen Williams, DeForest Buckner, and Aaron Donald. And the winner is Aaron Donald, 58%.
No way.
Other big majority. So 13.5 stacks. I don't have his stats pulled up. I know he had 13.5 sacks. I think he had something like 20 something quarterback hits. He didn't have a whole lot of tackles, but that's, he's getting double teamed every play. He's definitely a big play guy. He might win Defensive Player of the Year. Well, we'll have to talk about that at the end of the show or something, but 58%, pretty overwhelming. JPP had a great year. I can't believe people are knocking him, saying he doesn't deserve to go to the Pro Bowl. Go look at his stats, man. They're ridiculous.
Agreed. I nominated JPP. With Aaron Donald, what else is there to say? He's shown it each and every season. Personally, I thought the percentage would have been higher than 58. Even that's extremely high, obviously. I was thinking it would be maybe 70 plus, but I guess that was a stretch.
DeForest Buckner was on there, JPP, Quinnen Williams, and I mean, JPP, I know he's got the best 3-point stance in the league. I mean, you got to. I mean, you only got 3 fingers. Like, I mean, he's just got that shit mastered. You guys don't know about that firework.
Yeah. You had a hell of a fireworks show for New Year's Eve, right?
That shit's hilarious. But yeah, Aaron Donald, and how many times was he like triple teamed and still like got a sack or got a QB hit or like something like
probably every other play, if I had to guess.
He's
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well, I'd give a shout out to my man Chris, who joined, says he doesn't know anything about fantasy, but still joining us here to say what up. I like it.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. Welcome. Come learn. You should, hop in a free league, get rooted, and get going, man. It's a blast.
Start talking shit, burn that
exactly.
That's the best part, is talking shit to everybody.
Nothing wrong with some friendly banter. Not at all. Not at all.
Where we at?
My man
Aaron
Mike.
Donald, I nominated DeForest Buckner. I think Aaron Donald gets pandered to a little bit too much personally. Aaron Donald, I mean, almost 60 tackles. I mean, DeForest Buckner is averaging like 60 tackles a season. Aaron Donald's barely getting over, well, he got 45, but that's not over great. He played more games than Buckner too. So that kind of, I don't know. I don't want to say I'm an Aaron Donald hater, but I just feel like everybody loves to love him. And guys like DeForest Buckner, who are in their own right on his level, in my opinion, they just don't get any of the same kind of talk.
I was
He got paid like Aaron Donald.
No, he did. He did get paid like Aaron Donald, and I mean, but I just wish that you were saying that. I guess over this way, you're saying you thought Aaron Donald would be higher. I was really I thought hoping would be more of a dogfight. I mean, DeForest Buckner went hard for people. I mean, DeForest Buckner had multi-sack games a couple of times this season. I think Aaron Donald, a lot of his production came in one or two spots. Same quarterback hit numbers, only a couple less tackles for loss for Buckner. But again, Buckner played less games. So I don't know. And people are saying Aaron Donald gets double and triple teamed every play. If that were true, then every quarterback would be getting sacked constantly. They're playing. And I don't think the Rams were in top in sacks this year, although Floyd got up there a little bit. So I don't know.
I was about to say, that's the only other pass rusher is Floyd. I mean,
well, if Aaron Donald's taking the whole line, everybody should be up there getting some. I mean, that's the way they tell the stories. They tell the stories.
What was the sack total difference between Buckner and Donald?
Buckner had 9.5 and Donald had 13.5 total. So he did have a little bit more, but I mean, those same people that'll, say, oh, Aaron Donald 13.5 sacks, those same people that say sacks don't matter and that pressures matter. But then they'll say, oh, Aaron Donald had the most pressures. And then I just got to go stop.
Valid points for sure. For sure.
I just got to play the devil's advocate.
I love it. I love it. I actually have DeForest Buckner in a couple leagues. I don't have any shares of Aaron Donald. I just, Aaron
Donald for DeForest Buckner in your leagues right now. That's my suggestion to you in Dynasty.
Hot take. You heard it here first.
If Darius Leonard wins Defensive Player of the Year,
Buckner plus, I'm assuming Buckner plus some. Or just, are we talking straight up?
I would do it straight up.
Ooh, okay. There you go. There you go.
If you were doing a startup draft, you can get Buckner way cheaper, than you can get Donald. So I had a few shares of Buckner. I had 0 shares of Donald. So
and you're talking point for point difference this season. DeForest Buckner finished with 6 less points than Aaron Donald. 6.
Wow.
In IDP 1, 2, 3. So that's 1 sack. That's it.
Yeah.
That's 3 solos less. And again, he played less games. So if you go points per game, DeForest Buckner's got him beat this season. But he wins. Let's give him.
Point taken. And I'm glad that you broke that.
Give him another award. Give him another one.
I'm glad you broke that down because now I'm sitting here feeling like a fool. Like,
no,
you're absolutely right. Like 58 may be too high. It should have been a closer race. Maybe it's just the name. You see Aaron Donald, and you're just like dominance for the past however many years. So
it works both ways, though. He's like in the LeBron, Aaron Rodgers category. If he doesn't have a great year, people say, "Oh, he didn't have a good year." But when really he's up for Defensive Player of the Year, that's just. He's an easy person.
Up for Defensive Player of the Year with his lowest tackle for loss numbers since his rookie season, with a couple other lowest of his career. Lowest, I think, solo tackles of his career. Yep, lowest solo tackles career. And he's still they're just like, oh, he's Defensive Player of the Year candidate. Why? He's had one of his worst, I don't know. It's just, I'm sorry, I'm getting worked up. But
no. Valid points, man. Valid points.
Number 1 in the scoring still, though. Like that's what my whole point is. It's a down year for Aaron Donald, yet he still finished with 254.8 points, and that's a down year for him.
You're right. You're right. He's still down. I see. Nothing beats the points. I agree.
We didn't.
King has the crown. No one can take it from him.
I'm pretty sure you guys could have voted. I couldn't vote on it one way or another, but we're just 3 votes. Everybody on Twitter voted. I think we had a couple hundred votes like per category. So I was excited to see a bunch of people vote.
Yeah,
yes, sir.
Agreed.
Where are we getting down to?
All right. That leads us into defensive end of the year.
There we go.
So our nominees, Romeo Okwara, Brian Burns, Trey Hendrickson, who I love, by the way, and Myles Garrett. And the winner is Myles Garrett, defensive end of the year. In 14 games, Myles Garrett had 48 tackles, 12 sacks, 4 forced fumbles, and 2 fumble recoveries. Not to mention, he's been literally crushing skulls since 2020. So I did want to mention that as well. So shout out to Myles Garrett. Hell of a year. I hate that the COVID, impacting him and whatnot and what he shared about that. But still, hell of a year. Defensive end of the year, Myles Garrett by 55%.
One thing I'll say about Myles Garrett is he always starts the year out hot. Go get him, go draft him, and then trade that dude after week 5 because he just comes out so roaring hot and cools off every freaking year. And but he is good. I am a Myles. He makes Denzel Ward and him make that defense really great. So.
Oh yeah, Denzel Ward doesn't get enough love. Like when people talk about just corners in general, like people will talk. I mean, what do you think about compared to your man King up there? Getting a little off topic, but
I mean, Denzel Ward, I would be shocked if anyone started him in fantasy because I'd be shocked if any quarterbacks dared throw his way. It's one of those things similar to Tre'Davious White, although I believe he actually had a great fantasy season last season. I don't know about this season. Just one of those corners shut down.
Yeah,
he got hurt early this year.
King's a press cover, and Denzel Ward will come up and make tackles. King will come up and make tackles. It's got to be a fit. You couldn't put those guys in just every defensive scheme and it work. I think they're both elite athletes. I think I would slightly tilt to Ward at this moment, though. He seems like he can stay healthier, but they both get hurt.
What up, Flavish? I think Flavish is in Norway. So we're international.
Oh, Norway, huh? Well, welcome,
Bonjour.
Norway.
Come save us.
All right. So moving right along. Brett's safety of the year. I really like this one. We got some great nominees. We got Jordan Poyer, Jabril Peppers, Buda Baker, Jamal Adams.
Before you get into the winner,
Those are some great nominees.
Everybody on this list is a baller. Like, this was the closest.
Hands down.
This was the closest poll out of every poll that we had. Like, going into the last day, 3 of these players were tied with each other. Like, it was ridiculous how close this was.
Agreed. But without further ado, the winner is Jamal Adams by 31%. Jamal Adams in 12 games this season, 83 tackles, 9.5 sacks, plus 1 fumble, forced fumble to sprinkle in there as well. Man, 9.5 sacks at the safety position. What else can you ask for? Along with 83 tackles in 12 games, the dude's a beast. He's been a beast since year 1. I don't see it stopping anytime soon. He did have those nagging injuries that unfortunately kept him out some games, but hell of a player. Seattle still has some work to do, but it seemed like their defense got better as the year progressed. So certainly excited to watch Jamal Adams play for years to come.
And everyone could shout out their nominee because this position deserves it because all these guys are ballers. I got to talk about Jordan Poyer, who, outside of Baker and Adams, you could get him way later, and the type of production that he came in with every single week, like he was one of those cornerstones that I know helped people get championships this year.
Yeah, he was clutch in the late weeks. The Bills defense, I've been hyping them up for 3 years now. They're solid at all 3 levels, and Poyer's just great.
Yeah, my dude was Jabril Peppers. I was banging the drum for him coming into the season. He started off kind of slow, but he finishes the season with career highs in combined tackles with 91, tackles for loss. He had 8, career high sacks 2.5, career high pass deflections 11. He had a forced fumble, a fumble recovery, an interception. Plus he gets kickoff, punt returns sometimes. So if you get those yards, you get that. And it's, there was a stretch in the middle of the season where this guy went something like 7 straight games with like 22 plus points. Week 7, he had 20, week 8, 26, week 9, 28, week 10, 25. Then he had an 18-point game, then another 23, another 28-point game. So, I mean, he was putting up almost 30 a week, averaging out to about 25 a week in the heart of the season. When you needed, when those weeks when it was like, if you were those 7-6 teams, those 5-4 teams or 4-5, like at that point in the season, when it mattered, Jabril Peppers came through for you in a big way. I know I kept him everywhere I had him. I had faith. I have him in a lot of dynasty leagues, and I couldn't be happier with what he did this season. So he didn't win, but I mean, because Jamal Adams is fucking unconscious. Another guy who sets, career highs in. He had more combined tackles this year than he did last year. Played 2 less games. Had more sacks this year. Played 2 less games. Had more tackles for loss this year. Played 2 less games. Like he just their regression doesn't exist for this guy. Like he just gets better. I say that he will regress next year, FYI, but he's fucking unconscious. He's the defensive back 1. He didn't come in number 1 this year, but think about that. He played about 4 less games than some of these guys did, and he won this category.
I know that Peppers and Poyer weren't in everybody's top 10 preseason, but both of them were in my top 10 preseason. I mean, Adams and Baker, they were obviously in like everybody's top 4. But
I nominated Adams. I expected Buda Baker to win, to be very honest. Just to echo what others have said, Adams is just another breed, man. The one thing I will say that he should work on in the offseason, learn how to light a cigar.
Yeah, that was not great for someone trying to look like a baller. Even fucking up, he looked like a baller though. So I was just like,
true that. If you're gonna do something foolish in front of the world or America, for that matter, he did it quite well.
Swag award.
Hey,
swag daddy.
I mean, I nominated Buda Baker. Not much to say. He's a stud. I think Chandler Jones going down really affected that team until Hassan Reddick just took over. But I think Buda Baker really held them together. I mean, Peterson's aging. Their secondary outside of him is not the greatest. But all respect to Jamal Adams. Once again, it all goes back to fit to me. Who's the defensive coordinator? Who's the head coach? Oh, Jamal Adams, you look like an all-pro, playing for Seattle. I think it's what it's all about.
And I know everybody in the IDP space, they had the top 4 different, Baker, Adams, Collins, and Derwin James. I'm just going to pat myself on the back and say that I had Buda and Adams 1 and 2.
Fuck yeah. Nice. Anyone who had anyone, yeah, I mean, that was it. And it was Adams that won.
Or you're like me, you drafted Derwin James, made a blockbuster trade, sending Derwin and receiving Jamal Adams, and then the injury happens the following week. Whew. There you go. Luck. Got to take it.
Throwing landmines.
Question in here for Danny. How do you feel about Duger in the next few years? Who's got some thoughts about Duger?
Duggar? I like Duggar. I'm going to put him in some of my, off-season videos and whatnot. But Adrian Phillips came in this season and for the Patriots, and I mean he was a top 12 guy in the season, I believe, at defensive back. That's the position that Duggar was drafted to play. But you know how Bill Belichick is; he likes to get old veterans to do stuff. That is where the points went to Adrian Phillips right now. Phillips has got 1 year left on his contract. So Duggar next year, I think his playing time will go up. You could play him as like a DB4 this year. But he has upside to be a DB1 if he learns that system and gets that role and, doesn't get hurt and all that.
2nd round pick, right? High 2nd round pick.
The 205 actually. And just to elaborate a little bit real quick, since I have it in front of me, I'm a sucker for these things. Sorry. But the workout metrics that you see for Duger, 40-yard dash, 4.49, so 80th percentile. speed score 87th percentile, burst score 98th percentile. You know, there's a lot to like with, you know, just the raw talent that you're seeing there. And I mean, when you got Bill Belichick coaching them up,
He crushed the combine last year for sure.
sky's the limit. That's someone that, you know, I actually grabbed him, you know, towards the end of the season in one of my leagues. I just realized he was sitting there and I was a little shocked, but I was like, yeah, I'll go ahead and grab him and see what happens. Maybe leave him in my taxi next season. But yeah, he's someone that you want to have stashed, I would say, for sure.
If Phillips didn't ball out the way that he did, I'm sure we would have saw more out of him, but he did good all season.
Yeah.
All right, so next category we got is linebacker of the year. So nominees, we got Devin White, we have Roquan Smith, we got TJ Watt, and we got Zach Cunningham. All these guys are fucking ballers. Like Jordan's got TJ Watt sitting right behind him. Everybody balled out on this list this year. But the winner is Devin White. We knew it was coming. Devin White, 97 solo tackles, 9 sacks. I mean, forced fumble recovery, but you get to 100 solo tackles or right around that, like you're just a stud all around in real life and in fantasy for sure.
Amen.
What else is there to say?
15 QB hits for an inside linebacker. That's a lot, man. That's not an edge rusher. I just got DTs and fat 300-pounder guys in front of him, you know.
And he's not playing like a young player, you know. I mean, not to say he's never made a mistake, you know, obviously, but he's out there, he's playing, man. When you watch him play, he looks like he's been doing it for a long time and nothing's changed transitioning from college over to the NFL. So,
like
man,
I mean, he's got the right defensive coordinator with the right mindset for, I mean, all the guys on that team. I mean, look at Shaq Barrett, unconscious, JPP, unconscious, Levante David, unconscious, Carlton Davis, unconscious. I mean, fucking Antoine Winfield, unconscious. I mean, Devin White, unconscious. Every single player on that team is, I mean, the whole defense basically all pro.
Coached up, man.
And they're playing aggressive. Like, it's not like one of these cute, that we didn't let them score on us. They're like, no, like the defense like had 2 touchdowns today and they averaged like 0.75 touchdowns a week. Like,
so real quick,
ridiculous.
It's short, but I have a question. I'm curious to get y'all's input. The Tampa Bay defense thriving this season, do you think it had a lot to do with the change at the quarterback position when leaving?
They were the same. They were the exact same team minus Antoine Winfield last year. The only difference is that Jameis Winston turned the ball over, but that team, they were just as good, and they were in a lot of close games because of that defense. And shit Jameis gets, I mean, he won them just as many games as he lost them last year. So,
and think about how many pick sixes Jameis threw. Like, that's not even on the defense, you know? Yeah. Like, so many.
They made up for it because they had such high sack numbers. I mean, they knew that they had to play fucking unconscious, like I said, to keep up with what Winston was doing, and they did. They have the guys to do it. Ndamukong Suh, I mean, he's like the least talked about player, but he's probably one of the best players on their team, and like he's the anchor of that whole thing. I mean, the energy just comes from his big ass right in the middle, and it's everywhere. So
poor man's Aaron Donald, maybe.
The playoffs last year, didn't they? Like, I remember them playing on Saturday last year.
I don't think they did.
They didn't make the playoffs.
I remember them having defensive players that had hell of years, you know, as far as stats are concerned. I guess I just didn't notice how dominant they were as a unit last season. The only with Winston there
out of Tampa Bay was Jameis Winston 30 for 30. LOL. That was it. I mean, give me a break.
We need more IDP, man. God, yeah, no.
I know.
They got studs on all 3 levels. Sue doesn't get enough respect. I mean, it goes all the way through, man.
Shaq Barrett, was he like second team all pro or some bullshit like that? Like they were just like jerking around. I'm like, motherfucker, give his numbers to Aaron Donald. I mean, they fucking mean that. I can't even get back to the Aaron Donald shit.
I feel you on that.
All right. How about we get to our next award?
Yes, sir. Finally, your man, 50 Shades. I got one. Number 9, New Kid on the Block award. We had Jerome Baker, who did finish as a top 15 linebacker this year. We have Montez Sweat, who was dope. Y'all need to get some Montez Sweat in your life. We had Eric Wilson, who came in for Anthony Barr and finished as a top 12 linebacker as well. This dude was playing lights out. Probably had a better season. I mean, I imagine he had a better season on paper than Anthony Barr's ever had in his life. Anthony Barr's like a dozen Pro Bowls. And then we had Tyrell Adams, who also came in and played for somebody. Bernard McKinney, he still was one of the top tackle leaders in the league. This guy ended the season with 125 combined tackles with only 12 starts. All right. So what does that mean? You do the math. That means basically 10 tackles a game per start. That's crazy. That's what you want. And he did it on the same team with another guy who we all know and love. We mentioned earlier, Zach Cunningham. So Tyrell Adams, I'll go ahead and give you all a little teaser. He didn't win, but I just want to make sure that he gets the recognition he deserves. But the winner of the New Kid on the Block category is Montez Sweat, coming in with a hot 37%. That was my nomination. That's why I get to read this off to y'all. This guy had 6 pass deflections in his second year, 2 forced fumbles, 9 sacks, 45 combined tackles, 12 tackles for loss, 20 quarterback hits, an interception that he returned for a touchdown on Thanksgiving. You all saw it. He's a beast. He's a playmaker. The very next week, Washington football team, what do? They take out the Steelers. Why? Montez Sweat batting a pass. Get the fuck out of here. That's my dude. He won the category. Let's go. Memontez Sweat.
Well deserved.
They're leading the awards categories right now.
Washington. I know. It's crazy. I mean, like, they're everywhere. And they don't even have a linebacker. Like, who are these guys? Like, Bostic had like a week or two, I guess. Oh, Bostic caught that interception that Big Ben threw that Montez Sweat batted, but I digress.
No one gets to the second level. You got to bypass that second level by throwing it.
Yeah, they're beasts. All first-round picks on that line, but Montez Sweat, I love that dude. He's long. He plays hard. 20 quarterback hits. He had more than old Chase Young had this year. The 6 pass deflections, you love to see that. That's just free points. You know, that's not a tackle. It's not a sack, but that's something going down. It's a big play. Like I said, 2 of them this year directly led to turnovers, 1 of them to a touchdown. Those plays should count big time in IDP 1, 2, 3. They're 3-point plays. So Montez Sweat, new kid on the block. I think he's going to be a top 10 dynasty DL for just as long as we expect Chase Young to be here coming up. So I have him back to back in my dynasty rankings right now. They're beast.
Hell yeah! And everyone can talk about their nominees. I got to shout out Jerome Baker, someone who, drafted like a linebacker 2 or 3. Something like that, and definitely. Worked out for you, maybe a couple off weeks here or there, but had so many blow-up weeks that you'd love to have them. 70 solo tackles and 42 assisted tackles, so over 100 combined tackles and 7 sacks. Just ridiculous. I like Jerome Baker just because I'm a weed head, and there's an ex-bong company named Jerome Baker, Bong Maker, and if you go search Jerome Baker on eBay, you'll find bongs that cost like $10,000, $20,000. So he's like one of the craziest bong makers of all time. And his shit doesn't exist anymore because he doesn't make anything.
That's crazy.
That's
interesting fact. Learn something every day. Tyrell Adams, that was my nominee. I knew there was some stiff competition, so all fair. People voted. We have our winner, but man, Tyrell Adams, a 28-year-old, undrafted, made some appearances in games with Oakland for a couple years, and then Houston in a few games the past couple of years. And then, when they had that starting linebacker go down, this guy stepped in, and the defense was bad, let's be honest here, but this guy did his job. Like, I would imagine if Houston doesn't plan on keeping him, someone's probably going to be willing to extend an offer to this guy here, because, you're basically looking at double-digit tackles a game, plus little sprinkles in of sacks, forced fumbles, what have you. But for a guy that just came out the woodwork, just stepped in and just was playing like he's been doing it his whole life, man, sight to see.
He didn't have too many off weeks. Like, I was really high on him as soon as he came in. I
snatched him up everywhere. Everywhere I got him.
He's a baller.
Yeah, and just to close out real quick, I'll just say about Eric Wilson. These are his points from week 9 on. 41.5, 22.35, 16, 13, 18, 11.5, 19.5, and 21. I guess, every format could be different, but he really just turned it on the second half of the year and just balled out. Like you say, when you start getting in that 500 range in your fantasy, you need those guys to be dependable. You need those high floors and you need potential high ceilings. So,
yeah, all great nominees for sure.
Hell yeah, man. This is a good category. Now, next category, we got the Sack Savage Award. Those guys who are just dominating the QBs, getting to the quarterbacks like it's nobody's business. We're starting it off with TJ Watt. We got Devin White. We got Zadarius Smith. And then we got Hassan Reddick. Everybody on this list was pretty awesome. But the award, it was pretty unanimous. It was TJ Watt getting 63% of the votes. Jordan, he's got him up right behind him. We know that how much of a baller TJ Watt is. 15 sacks. It just seemed like every single play he was in the quarterback's face. Like every play that I watched them play, it just seemed like he was in the quarterback's face or very close to him. Just every single play. We got some good nominees here, and anybody can shout out anybody they want.
Quick shout out Hassan Reddick. 12.5 sacks, 6 forced fumbles, along with 62 tackles. He had that one game. We'll get there. But anyway, just a guy that I felt was at least worthy of being considered. But yeah, I agree. TJ Watt, dominant, versatile, can line up practically anywhere and make plays, playmaker.
Yeah, I'll just say Devin White. 9.5 sacks. I gave him the Sack Savage Award because it's not what you expect from that position. To get those kinds of numbers. He finished in the top 12 at sacks. He and Jamal Adams, two guys that that's your defensive back position. That's your linebacker position. That's not your defensive line position. But to get high end DL numbers, sack numbers out of that guy. That's how you win your leagues. That's the Christian McCaffrey of the positions. So I gave it to him just because it's something you didn't expect. That was it's icing on the cake, and that's why he finished, linebacker 1. On top of the fact that he had all the tackles, he also came through with the big plays. So I gave him. That's who I nominated for Sack Savage.
And then, I just had Zadarius Smith, 12.5 sacks as well, played through a lot of injuries, and he carried the Packers. There was times when they didn't have pressure. Preston Smith didn't really start stepping it up till, honestly, about 2 weeks ago. Gary started stepping it up about 3/4 of the way through the season. Other than that, they didn't really get anything, some from Lancaster, but really it was all dependent on Zadarius Smith to bring that quarterback pressure when they needed it. He can close out games, but I'm admittedly biased. He's my guy, man,
Well said.
Yeah. Everybody on this list was a baller this year in the IDP space.
No arguing TJ Watt though. He's a stud. Number 1. I made him my captain in our keeper league. We call them captains. 1 offense, 1 defense. I switched up from Tremaine, and I had to go to TJ Watt. I just couldn't let him go back in the draft pool. No way.
Hell no.
Don't blame me, man.
He's the man. So right into our next category here, we got the Consistency King Award. And I will say everybody on this list was pretty damn consistent. That is for sure. So we got Roquan Smith. And then we got another Smith, Jalen Smith. And then we got Bobby Wagner. And we got Joe Schobert. I don't know. I guess it depends on what scoring that you're in. In IDP 1, 2, 3, did any of these guys even finish with less than 1 or 2 single digit games?
I know Jalen Smith only had one. I'm looking at that right now. I can look at Roquan as well. I think Roquan, we said he didn't have any. I said that earlier, so that's not
Looking up
yeah.
Wagner right now.
Wait, Roquan had one single-digit game, and then he got hurt at the beginning of week 17. But we won't count that against him because nobody's playing fantasy then. So
Bobby Wagner had looks like 0. Yeah, he didn't have any.
I bet Blake
11.5.
Martinez did. I bet Blake Martinez didn't either. I'm surprised. I almost nominated him, but I put in Jalen Smith because I love Jalen Smith. No, Blake had one too. He had 1 week. But damn,
Yeah.
Blake Martinez, jeez.
If
Bobby Wagner's worst week was actually week 16, and he had 11 points. The big letdown.
The big fart.
Yeah, I nominated Joe Schobert, and the stats I'm looking at, it's a different scoring format than what y'all have, but just based on what I'm seeing, it looks like he probably had at least a couple single-digit weeks. So
couldn't have been more than 2 or 3. I mean, he was pretty.
well, in our format, he had one, but
Yeah. A lot of the tackles are the same in both leagues, so a lot of it's usually based on that.
Yeah, for linebackers usually.
And that being said, and the winner, 52% of the vote, Roquan Smith. I had him in a couple leagues, and yeah, I swear it was like 1 week where I was like, where the hell did he go? What the hell is he doing? And other than that, so damn consistent. You just don't think about it. You just leave him in that spot and know that he's going to ball out.
Rack up those points.
Yeah,
that he did.
I can't stand it, but he's so great. Now, I was cheering when Mitchell Trubisky got drafted, and when Roquan got drafted, I was like, no, because he was like, I'm pretty sure it was like a top 6 or 7 pick, and I was like, he's gonna be a nemesis for a long time.
Yep, and then a couple years later, we might even see Mitch Trubisky not on the team, and Roquan still going to be. I mean,
he's gonna get paid soon.
On the team outside of Robinson.
Someone's going to pay him for sure. Same with Robinson.
Yeah. All right. Well, right into our next award here. We got the Golden Hands Award, and I will let Iggy read off the nominees.
All right, guys. Coming at you with, let me see. I messed it up. Golden Hands Award, starting with the Honey Badger, man. That's kind of the Golden Honey Badger, right? Now, Tyrann Mathieu. Then we have Marlon Humphrey. And then we have Xavier Howard. And then we have J.C. Jackson, who, when I was putting together the stats, man, like I said, he was in the top 5 for forced fumbles, number 2 in interceptions. It was remarkable. I didn't really research him a whole lot. I didn't watch a whole lot of Patriots games. But the winner is Xavier Howard, 59%. Like I said, 10 interceptions. You got to savor the flavor, man. A lot of that doesn't happen that much. How many did Stephon Gilmore have last year? Like 7? I mean, I don't know off the top of my head.
I think he had 6 or 7.
Yeah, 6 or 7. And you just I put together the chart, and when I was doing research, I was like, man, that's a hard to get double-digit interception year. And he did it. He did it. So that was my pick. That's I'm saying it. These other guys are all great. I love all these DBs out there. Like I said, J.C. Jackson. I was all about Phillips. That's who my guy was for the Patriots, really. But J.C. Jackson deserves his due credit. He was trying to be picked on, and he made people pay for it. So,
yeah, J.C. Jackson was my nominee. I just wanted to make sure he got his name in there, as far as the nomination is concerned, because it was just well deserved. 9 interceptions, along with 2 fumble recoveries and 40 tackles. Playing for a team that looked like they might be competitive those first handful of games. And then we saw the decline of Cam, and the defense is out on the field nonstop. And this guy just kept playing and made plays for his team. J.C. Jackson, hell of a year.
I threw Honey Badger in there because it just seemed like he was making big-time interceptions in the end zone a few weeks in a row. Ended up finishing off with 6 picks on the year, and solid. I mean, Xavier Howard getting to double digits. I mean, it's nuts. I mean, last guy that Antonio Cromartie, when he had double digits, It seemed like he was like the hottest player in the world. And then we find out later that he had like 8 kids or something that through that stretch of that year or something like that. Like, man, you get interceptions like that. Like, that's going to make you a pussy magnet. That's for sure.
Man, could have just got a sponsorship from Trojan or something, bro. Come on.
Did you guys know that he had 3 kids after he had a vasectomy?
Damn, that's scary. So scary. Danger.
Sorry about it.
I don't think that's supposed to happen.
So I had Marlon Humphrey. I kind of rambled on about him a little bit earlier, but led the league in forced fumbles. He had an interception as well, 80 some odd tackles. But he punched a lot of balls out. He played one less game than a lot of players, so I thought he deserves to be nominated. So yeah, that was my nomination. Good old Hump.
All ballers here. Getting on to our next award here, we got the Tackle and Fuel Award, and a lot of ballers on this list, that's for sure. We got Devin White, we got Alex Singleton, who I don't even know. Did you guys know who he was before this year? Just came out of nowhere and was a baller.
Didn't.
I heard his name like he'd come up, but it was like not as I was just blowing him off, kind of like, okay, Eagles linebacker, count me out. Mistake, huge mistake.
Such a baller. And we got Zach Cunningham, talked about him earlier, and then Tyrell Adams, and then Jalen Smith, who was super solid. I mean, all year, super solid. But there was one guy who was, I think, deserves this Tackle and Fuel Award just a little bit more than everybody, and all the voters said so too. Devin White ends up taking home this award, and 97 solo tackles. He was all over the field making plays, and when you're right next to someone like Levante David to still make all those plays and get all those tackles over him, I mean, he's the man. What else can we say about him?
Yeah,
this guy is what, 23?
He played one. He played one last week. Then Roquan had one last solo. He played one last week. Then Cunningham as well. So I mean, he could have finished the season as the top guy too if he'd have played that last week. So
he was on fire too.
Yeah, and that's on top of
2 weeks.
Yeah, not surprised he won that.
Everybody here was deserving of the award. That's for sure. Let's get into the next one here. We got the Impact Player of the Year. And all these guys were definitely impact players. Jordan, why don't you read off the nominees?
All right. For Impact Player of the Year, we had some nice nominees, some guys that we all know and love. Jordan Poyer from the Buffalo Bills, safety. We had Jamal Adams, the man himself from New York to the West Coast. We have Darius Leonard, who is, he's Darius Leonard, basically linebacker 1, period, end of discussion. Or is it because Devin White and Roquan Smith made some noise this year? We'll have a lot of time to talk about that. And then J.J. Watt, who is the king of impact plays, batted passes. This guy smashes them. This guy smashes tackles for loss. He gets all the sacks. He had an interception and a touchdown this year. Was that week 15? He had a nice game. So he's an impact player. But the winner of the Impact Player of the Year goes to my man Jamal Adams. 9.5 sacks in the safety position. He has his career high tackles for loss, 12 games played. This guy still finishes as a top 10 defensive back. What can't he do? He's, I'd say he's half man, half amazing, but he's all amazing. So Jamal Adams takes home the Impact Player of the Year award. Fellas, you want to tell us about your nominees and why they are lesser men than Jamal Adams? He got 33%. So he didn't run away with it, but he still won. So
I'll knock mine out real quick. I nominated J.J. Watt. I feel like I knew he wasn't going to win, but seeing him play for such a terrible team that Bill O'Brien just destroyed, in my opinion, the fact that he stayed healthy and he just never stopped, man. I mean, he's out there making plays each and every game, even though he essentially is the Houston Texans defense, along with a couple of good linebackers. But just seeing him healthy again and performing at a high level, I felt he was worthy of a nomination. Personally, I hope Houston does him a favor and finds a trading partner to give JJ an opportunity to go after a championship, because time is limited, unfortunately. But great to see him on the field healthy and producing like we expect him to. JJ Watt, one of my favorite players all time.
He's the man. He's the man, that's for sure. So I nominated Jordan Poyer, someone who, when Matt Milano went down, I mean, stepped up, was the guy who was, getting the extra tackles where they needed him to. He was someone who I had as a top 10 safety on the year. Guy's a baller. Makes impact plays all the time. And, yeah, he's one of the reasons why the Bills are in the playoffs right now. That's for sure.
I feel like Darius Leonard's a big reason why. Like I said, DeForest Buckner made his job a lot easier.
Definitely.
But he just made several big impact plays late in the game when they needed him to, because dang sure is not going to come from Phillip Rivers. Who the hell is he's Phillip Rivers, man. He hasn't changed his whole career. Sadly, sorry to say that to a Chargers fan. I'm sorry. But I think he is kind of the leader of that team. He made the big plays when they needed him. Not much else to say. I don't think he had necessarily his best year, but I did place a preseason bet for him to be Defensive Player of the Year, so I'm trying to get that out there.
Leonard's always going to be a baller too, like that's for sure. And when you got a guy like Buckner stealing some of your stats, it just it is what it is.
I mean, he helped him out though. That's a good defensive tackle, made him better for sure. But yeah,
well, he doesn't have to be responsible for everything, I mean, he is that good, but we see what happens to these teams when they put too much on one guy, offense or defense. Look at JJ Watt right now. Poor guy. You know what I mean? Like, he has been, like you said, he's been the heart and soul of that team for so long. But what's it got him though? I mean, he's tired. Like that press conference, I mean, he had the other day. I mean, he looks like a guy that's worn the fuck out, and he's giving it everything he's got, and he just is realizing, like you said, like it's probably not all going to happen there for him, even though he probably deserves it, more than anybody. So
Houston's good, but it's crazy, especially in the fantasy world. Like that's the team that you stream everybody against, And JJ Watt is he's a badass, and he's pretty much on the worst defense.
That's why I'm so happy Jamal Adams got the fuck out of the Jets. You know what I mean? Like he's in the playoff.
Man.
You know what I mean? Like he's on a team that deserves him now. I mean, JJ Watt. I mean, Texans haven't deserved him. Darius Leonard, Carlos Dunlap finally, on a team that Yannick Ngakoue. He's finally on a team that deserves him. Yeah, all decade. I'm down with that. Yeah, I mean, I love Carlos Dunlap. He's still good. I mean, he's part of the they're in the playoffs right now. I'm like, what? Yeah, he made plays that won them games. He had he closed out games for him this year. He's a closer. I mean, I don't know what the fuck they were doing with him with the Bengals playing Carl Lawson and all this nonsense. Sam Hubbard, I love Sam Hubbard. Guy's handsome as fuck, but he can't get a sack to save his life. You can play 1,000 snaps and not get a sack. This guy.
And Seattle, if you remember at the beginning of the season, I mean, they were kind of garbage on defense,
Yeah, and now they're very much so propping them up. That defense is holding them together now, and a lot of that's at Jamal Adams. Number one, there it is. I mean, he's getting pressure. People are like, "Oh, the most important thing is pass rush," unless it's coming from a safety, and they're like, "Well, it can't be done." It's meh. It's like they're playing players to their strengths. They say, Jamal Adams, you're a great pass rusher, so we're not gonna fucking not make you rush the passer. Like, just do it. Let him loose and look at the guy.
Balling.
Practically averaged a sack per game played. I mean, wow.
Yeah. I mean, he didn't regress. Wow. He progressed this year. He had more tackles for loss. He had more combined tackles this year, more sacks this year than last year, played less games. Like, the regression people, they'll be out this year and they'll be right this year, but they were out last year too, and they were wrong. So,
and I don't know how people thought that him going to Seattle was going to make him decline.
People were saying like, "Oh, I'm taking him down a couple spots." I'm like, "Why? This is better. This is
perfect
good.
fit."
Yeah, like
perfect.
Well, I'm like, you have to. I mean, it's like it's the middle. It's June. It's July. We got a hot take season. Oh, this guy, he's falling down my boards. Oh, Get out of here.
I think that, like, I don't know, so many people just like think of these guys like robots or any, just kind of in a sense, because
Talent's talent, baby.
And wouldn't you be way more fucking pumped to play for a team that's actually winning than a team that's fucking losing?
It's like LeBron James goes to the fucking the Hornets, the North Hornets. Are you not gonna draft LeBron James in fantasy basketball? No. Patrick Mahomes were to be on the Jets. I'm gonna ding him. If you're dinging him, you're a dumbass. Like, he's still the same guy. Like, I mean, the Jets are there's a special place in hell for players on the Jets. They will always finish at the bottom of all their categories, except Neville Hewitt.
Hey, once they get away from Gase, though, that's when things take off.
Yeah, okay. Jets fans taking off. Imagine that.
If Antonio, you got one Jets fan in the building, and he was someone who just kept saying the Jets were going to collapse, and he's the first one to say that there's no way in hell that they should have won those games. Doesn't even know how. He's baffled.
I feel terrible for that fan base. If there's still a fan base there, Jesus.
Oh, Jets fans are insufferable. They're everywhere.
How? I mean, how do you endure such?
Dude, these people are masochists. They get off on being shitty. Like, they whine about it. Like, oh, I hate being a Jets fan. You love it. They love it.
And it's something like, it's, I don't know, it's got to be something with the Giants and the Jets where like a certain type of New Yorker likes the Giants and a certain type.
Yep.
No matter what.
It's on brand.
Meanwhile,
who you trying to be?
Meanwhile, Bill's Mafia is having the party.
Damn straight.
So,
Josh Allen, QB1. All right, let's get through this thing.
Let's do it.
So what do we got next? I
got another one. I'm slowing down. My bad. Clutch performance of the year. All right, so this is that guy, that week where you're like, man, I don't know. And then you look at your thing, whatever it is, sleeper, your phone, whatever. You're watching the game, and something happens, and you're like, oh shit. Okay, I'm not gonna let it get me too worked up. And then you walk out of the room and you come back in and something's happening. You're like, wait, that just happened, or is it happening again? Oh my God, this is really happening. That was what was happening, y'all. Week 7 for Devin White. That was what was happening in week 12 for Jeremy Chin when he scored 2 touchdowns. Devin White in week 15. Yes, Devin White is on here twice. He had 2 performances that badass. I personally got fucked by Devin White in the fourth quarter. Week 15, when he had 3 sacks, he was just chilling with like 18 points. I was like, all right, we're going to be good. We're going to be good. And then I look at my phone again. This motherfucker got like 45 points. And I was like, oh, fuck me. I lost. That was great. Or was it Hassan Reddick? Week 14, this guy had 5 sacks. Monster week. The biggest IDP 1-2-3 scoring week I've ever seen. 59 points. Monster. So who's taking home the clutch performance of the week? Devin White's already won so many. He could have taken this one home, but it goes to Jeremy Chin, week 12. He was also competing with Joey Bosa, week 12, who popped off for 50 points. But Jeremy Chin takes it home. He's the defensive back. He scored 2 touchdowns. He had 2 fumble recoveries. Massive game for him. And you played him. That's the difference between Hassan Reddick. He may or may not have been in your lineup at that point of the season. You played Jeremy Chin. You took home those points, and it was a clutch performance because you probably didn't see it coming. That was my nominee.
And I got to talk about Jeremy Chin that week. Like, we're talking about him getting forced fumble recovery, 2 touchdowns in a span of 3 minutes?
I thought I was watching just another replay of the same play. And then in hindsight, I'm like, for real?
Literally. I was like, this isn't happening. This is not real. But it did. And I mean, watched it, seen it with my own 2 eyes.
Fucking ridiculous.
And he dunked the ball. Boom. Got fined for it. I got to call Jordan out, man. He had him on the bench in our listener league, man. I couldn't believe it.
I'm an idiot. I make mistakes too, guys. We only can start one defensive back in that league. I think we had a couple of defensive players, but I had Jamal Adams.
6, but you had guys going off.
I had Jabril Peppers in that league, and I had Jamal Adams. So I had a wealth of riches.
Great problem to have, sir. Yeah. Great problem to have.
So I wouldn't want to bench Jeremy Chin. I promise. That's not what I wanted to do. But I didn't have him in that league, and it did hurt. It did hurt.
And I'm going to talk shit about Devin White in week 15 because, he knocked me out of your redraft league, Jordan, the IDP Army redraft league. Knocked me out of that. I was pretty close, and then Devin White came, kicked me the
Fourth
fuck
quarter, out of nowhere, he like got people like 35, 40 points just at the drop of a hat. It was wild. You're never safe. You're never safe.
He almost won me a game, but Derek Carr really screwed me that week. All right, let's get into the next one here. Now we got IDP Comeback Player of the Year. So they didn't have to be injured to be on this list. You could have just had a really down year last year. So let's get into the nominees. Roquan Smith, been talking about him. He did have a down year last year. I mean, in comparison to what he did his first year and this year, that's for sure. Bradley Chubb, great year after being injured. I mean, a bunch of last year. I don't even remember how many games he played last year. Myles Garrett, man, comeback player of the year after smacking Mason Rudolph in the head. And
Head buster.
That was great. That was great. He definitely is making a comeback. And Miles Jack, someone who I was pretty high on. I mean, he was getting drafted. I mean, disrespected in drafts. And someone who I had as a linebacker too, and said that it should be rostered everywhere somehow if you play in a league where you're starting multiple linebackers. So everybody on this list was pretty awesome throughout the year, and everyone was glad who drafted him. But the votes are in, and it is Roquan Smith taking home the IDP Comeback Player of the Year award, 44%. Dude just balled out every single week. And, yeah, we don't care about week 17. I mean, I don't know. I know some people do. I'm sorry if you do. But he just balled out. It was all every week except for 1 week that he really just did his thing and just seemed to be inside the top 10 way more often than not.
Yeah, he was a stud. And, yeah, to come back after leaving last year, heavy hitter, and came back and produced. I mean, top 3 linebacker numbers. That's what you want. I nominated Bradley Chubb. He didn't have a super duper great season, but he still had a half decent season coming off the ACL tear. Dual eligibility on sleeper. So I'm all about that. I think that should be more common, honestly, especially I don't know if you guys play fantasy basketball at all, but you get a lot of guys on fantasy basketball that are double tagged. I don't see why it's such a hard thing. Just double tag some of these guys. Make it more prevalent. Just, it doesn't have to be hard. I don't know why we have to make it hard. I don't know why people advocate to make it harder, but
into that.
Bradley Chubb, that was my nomination. He's probably cheaper than he should be in your leagues, so we'll see what's up with him next year.
His value will be much more if Von Miller will stay healthy. Von Miller
will
probably garnish.
Yeah, that was a big hit. I agree with that.
That's why I think he did. Like I was a big Justin Simmons fan. I hyped him up before the season. I live in Colorado, so I get a little bit more Broncos coverage, and especially in a year like this. But Bradley Chubb's awesome. I nominated Myles Garrett. I just remember seeing his odds that he was in for Comeback Player of the Year in the preseason, and I was like, I thought that was pretty funny. But he did what he always does: starts out hot, cools off, set out a couple games. Typical stuff. Not much to say. It was Roquan's a great choice.
Yeah, I agree with Roquan being a great choice. I actually nominated Myles Jack. I knew it'd be tough sledding for him to actually pull off a victory, considering the team he plays for, kind of a forgotten man. But just taking a look at how down of a season he had last year production-wise, and then just completely bouncing back this season. I believe he set a career high in tackles, although he played, I believe, a couple fewer games than the season with his next highest. But just what a bounce back campaign for Myles Jack, who's just forgotten down there in Jacksonville. Former early second round pick. The guy produced, and where do you think he went in drafts? I forgot about the guy. I'll admit it.
He was going like that 20s, late 20s area. I mean, he sucked the year before, like bad,
real bad, and that's why I felt it was very appropriate to at least get him in as a nomination. hell of a season for Miles Jack, though. We'll see what he does next season.
So I was so high on Miles Jack. I mean, I don't know, not necessarily that high, but I had him like in my late teens, and it's because they moved him back to outside linebacker, which is his original position. They switched him over to middle linebacker when they lost. I can't remember who the middle linebacker was a couple years ago, but that messed him all up, and he just fell off. And now he didn't have to be the play caller. They left that to Joe Schobert. Now he just has to focus on himself. And so that helped him for sure, getting back to his original outside linebacker position.
Yeah, 14 games played, set a career high with 118 tackles, added 1 sack, 1 forced fumble, 2 fumble recoveries, and 1 interception. The year prior, only 66 tackles. So he basically doubled his tackle production from last season. So
yeah,
bounce back for sure.
Oh, yeah. Everybody was worthy. And out of these nominees, we got 2 big ones left. So here we go. We got the IDP Rookie of the Year. And Iggy, why don't you go ahead and read off the nominees?
Yeah, guys, thanks for hanging on with us. It's been an awesome time. 2 awards. Let me read them off to you. Chase Young, Jeremy Chin, Kenneth Murray, Patrick Queen. And the winner is Jeremy Chin, 52%. If you probably weren't expecting that, I bet many people were expecting one of these other names to be the winner. You got all 3 of those guys. Kenneth Murray was drafted before Patrick Queen, I believe, wasn't he? Yeah,
he was. He sure was.
Chargers traded up to pick.
Yeah, I wanted him to fall to Green Bay. Well, I was wanting the linebacker so bad. When we traded up, I was like, oh yeah. And then Jordan Love, I was like, what the heck? But keeping it with the IDPs, man. All 3 of those guys were drafted, highly touted, spoke about really well. People that are like college football fanatics are like blah 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 blah, And I was like, hey, let's see how they do in the NFL. I think they're all 3 gonna blossom, but Jeremy Chin was mine because he made an impact right away. Matt Rule knew something that we didn't. I think the Carolina Panthers and the Washington football team may have the 2 best drafts probably that nobody's talking about of this draft era. Time will tell, but I don't know off the top of my head where Chin was drafted, but he was definitely the behind all these other guys that were highly touted. And
he was the last pick of the second round.
Last pick of the second round.
Mm-hmm.
So that's and he's won people games this week, or he's won people weeks this year. And that's what you really need. IDP is kind of a big hit or miss thing. When people sack, they come in bunches. When people recover fumbles, they come in bunches. They're watching game tape and they're seeing something that they're all told to be like, hey, when they do this, this is what you do. He carries the ball real loose. Whenever he takes a 3-step drop, he's always, all these little things. They're coached really well and they're really great athletes. So they're going to perform really well, but it's very much boom bust for a lot of positions. And I think Jeremy Chin delivered on multiple ways. He can tackle, he can intercept, he can force fumbles, he can cover, he can press. I think he's going to be really impressive. And that's why I voted him in.
Came in playing from day one, too. You got to like that. I mean, starter on game day, game 1 with no preseason. So, dude is really talented.
Yeah, he's a boss. I had Chase Young as my nominee, but that's only because Jeremy Chin was already taken. I would have nominated Jeremy Chin as well. Chase Young, great season, my man. No shade.
I nominated Kenneth Murray. Just a matter of elimination. The other 3 had already been nominated, so went with Kenneth Murray as the 4th nomination for that award. But yeah, very steep competition with the other 3 for sure.
And I think we all would have, picked Jeremy Chin if we could have. I went with Patrick Queen. Dude was just a boss all season. I mean, over 100 combined tackles, 66 solo, 40 assisted. Had a big interception, had the forced fumble, had a TD. I mean, multiple forced fumbles, fumble recoveries. Crazy how good he ended up stepping in there and being. I really thought that the Chargers swooped on Murray because he was that much more talented and they were going to use him and he was going to be an impact player. And Patrick Queen just seemed to be that dude.
Well, to be
Patrick Queen covered
fair,
sideline to
Derwin James
sideline,
going
and
down. Definitely did not help Murray. Definitely did not help Murray. I'll just say that.
yeah, and Kenneth Murray just took a little time. He really had some really good games lately, I think, and I think he's going to be great. But my money on winning the actual defensive rookie of the year, it's going to be Chase Young. And Washington went to the NFC East. They're going to the playoffs. The Panthers are not. Chase Young's got all the notoriety. He plays with such enthusiasm on the side of the field, and he plays like he's hyped. He's into it, and I think those little things matter. And I think he'll win it. If you are betting on that, I guess got to throw that angle in there for the betting people.
Money, 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 money.
And Washington's hot right now. You know that people are going to be on the Washington train.
What are the odds for them to get the Super Bowl, Mr. Betting Man? Let's do it.
Ooh, I haven't even looked at their odds. I have
Alex
my
Smith.
preseason bet on the Packers, man, and I'm hoping that
Ron
hits.
Rivera, Scary Terry.
I think they win
The
comeback.
stage is set.
Ron
Gibson.
Rivera should
Yeah.
win comeback.
Table set for
comeback
the greatest
coach of the
story
year.
ever told.
Hey,
They change their name, they get all that good karma back. What up?
if McLaurin and Antonio Gibson both stay healthy and that defense continues to play at a high level, they got a shot. I'll say that.
There will be turnovers, but Tampa Bay's gonna steamroll them, man.
I
Well,
just want to see Tom go to pieces.
hey, one
I
thing
wanna
I
see
will
Tom
say. If Washington somehow wins this entire thing, let's just say, okay, they win this entire thing. I bet you
Wow.
Cleveland Indians change their name. I bet you
It's already in the works, actually.
Yeah, they did.
It's already been reported that they're changing their name, but
That's just
I don't know
PR.
about the Braves. Yeah.
Let's put a date on it.
maybe they'll just go with Cleveland baseball team,
Don't even. All right, let's finish this bad boy out with the IDP MVP.
That's right. IDP Most Valuable Player Award for this season. We got some great nominees here. We got Roquan Smith, TJ Watt, Deion Jones. Don't forget about Deion Jones and Devin White. Shocker. By 42%, Devin White. What an unbelievable season by this guy. I think he's actually still 22 years old. Based on the stats I have in front of me, 15 games played, 140 combined tackles, 9 sacks, along with 1 forced fumble, 1 fumble recovery. I mean, a guy that's playing at such a high level, and he's so young still. I mean, we just gave this 22-year-old IDP MVP. It's wow. If you have him in Dynasty,
don't sell him.
Congratulations. Yeah, this is not a sell by any means. You
tells you that
you sit tight and reap the benefits.
Don't do it.
I need to join an
Agreed,
IDP
100%.
Dynasty League. I'm so picky though, I just can't join any Dynasty League.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, I did Deion Jones. I'll just say it was a shame I didn't see him in any categories. He had a great comeback year as
I
well.
like seeing him get in there somewhere because he had a hell of a season.
TJ Watt was my guy, and then Devin White would have been my number 2, and then Roquan would probably been my number 3, or Xavier. And I was like, well, man, I just feel bad. I don't see him out there. So it's just a name I wanted to make sure we covered. And he's great. Ken O'Neill will be great. If Raheem Morris comes back, they could be better. I think he's a great defensive-minded coach.
No kidding, man. That Falcons D really took it to another level once he took over. We'll see what happens next season for sure.
AJ Terrell, watch that CB.
AJ Terrell, yeah.
I like Deion Jones for a long time too, and then man, he got injured that 1 year in week 1, and I think that I know it pissed off a lot of people, including me, but yeah, dude's a baller.
Yeah, he
had
a
great
season in our championship. He was the guy playing against his keeper, so he's been great in our league for a long time.
All right, well, this was fun, guys. I mean, great. Got a bunch of great interaction on Twitter. Had a bunch of votes on everything. Couple hundred votes per category. So some final thoughts. Well, what do you think, Patrick? Let's get some final thoughts while I smoke this bowl.
Final thoughts for me. Just glad to be a part of the IDP community. It's a long overdue. Again, I mean, I started playing fantasy sports back when I was approximately 10 years old. I'm over 30 now. it's a damn shame that I never even considered IDP. And then once I met Mr. Hustler over here, he got me on board, and I'm in it for the long haul, man. If you're not doing IDP, you're just not doing it right. Fuck team defense, IDP for life. That's what it is all day, every day. Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate you.
Oh yeah, brother. Thanks for joining, Jordan.
Yeah, I mean, parting thoughts. Great season. It was fun chopping it up with you guys tonight and during the season. Iggy in the league, also in the league with Hustler. It's awesome to have guys on the IDP scene that aren't the same old faces, peddling the same old stories all the time. So I appreciate that about y'all. And I mean, it's awesome. The off season is going to be great. I like seeing the IDP 1, 2, 3 is growing. We're all going to be using, the same semantics. We're going to all be looking at the same categories. The point totals will be similar. I mean, we're all going to be having the same conversation finally, or at least some of us will, and that's going to help push the overall meta conversation forward, which is what IDP needs this season. I mean, this is the year, Devi took off last year. Superflex took off the year before that. PPR came around a couple years before that. I mean, it's IDP's time to shine. Everybody wants that next hit. That good. What's that next strain, that chronic you got over there? You know what it is. It's IDP. Don't fuck around. Let's do it.
Heard that.
Yeah. And if anybody's watching right now who doesn't play in IDP leagues, like, don't be scared to join it. Like, I know there's some people who just get nervous. Like, oh, it's like I got to add like a whole second team. Like, doesn't matter. It's not hard. It makes it more fun, makes it more challenging. Get out of those basic ass leagues. That's what I got to say.
If you consider yourself a good fantasy football player and you're not doing IDP, I would argue you probably are not a good fantasy football player.
You're just handicapping yourself. You know what I mean? It's just why.
It's a different level. It adds all, and like I've said it many times, fantasy football doesn't have too many more places to turn to. IDP will be the next thing. People will love it. Like I said, I've been playing it 10 years. I started a league. It's like, why are we not playing with defensive players? I didn't know we could do that. I only played 1 year prior to that. And I was like, let's get them rolling. And like I said, I played for 10 years. I got introduced to the hashtag IDP 123, and I've incorporated it. That league's still not a PPR league. So the scoring kind of fits with the format of what that is, with where we have it. But it is really an awesome format, and it gets you just as much worth for linebackers. It's like your linebackers are running backs, your DLs can be wide receivers, and your DBs can be like wide receivers, high end tight ends. It's just kind of how it works. I'm really into fixing, not fussing, even for kickers, even for defenses. Make those points happen, man. Let's make because I think every play should count for a point, no matter what it is. And I think that makes whatever you're watching really fun, in my opinion. But to wrap it up, man, like I said, I'm just like the Bears. I'm happy to be in the playoffs. I'm happy to be here, man. You guys have been great. I will say we got a lot of things going. And if you want to know about this IDP league, like you said, if you've never played, I plan on starting a super format, at least 64 team. We'll do something for charity, make it fun, and it'll introduce you to big deep league format, 16-team format, as well as IDP format, and you'll realize how much depth is still out there. I've ran 6 IDPs on 16-team leagues for 9 years now, and there's still people on the waiver wires every week, and it just adds a whole dimension that you'll love. I'm a big IDP advocate. I'm glad I'm part of this. Is my first year on Twitter. I've met all these people that you're seeing right here. I'm loving it. I really appreciate you, Fantasy Football Hustler, for having me out here. All of us out here hosting this, putting this together. We all got big plans coming, more content coming, more rankings coming, more accuracy coming. It'll be hard for me to be more accurate, but it'll be fun.
2021 is going to be dope. That's for sure. It's crazy because IDP, I mean, back when the Raiders front office created fantasy football, IDP was already there. It was the casual, in the 90s. I don't even know when the team defense concept, came into fruition, but it was to make things easier for the casual fan. So yeah, like Patrick said, if you think you're a really badass fantasy football player, but you're not playing IDP, I mean, you're not that badass because you're not playing in hardcore leagues. Get into crazy ass leagues and get out of these default leagues. I love it. The crazier the league, the better. I started a league this year that was, on the offensive side of things, 2 QB plus Superflex. like just to like try to make things like, you know, really crazy and outside of the norm, like just do different shit. And yeah, I'm going to put on a bunch of dynasty leagues for sure this year. I don't know how many, but probably double digits. And yeah, just have fun and try to expose as many people as I can and make IDP the norm. It needs to be the norm.
It's gonna be. It's gonna be. It will. It will.
You're denying yourself 50% of the game. I mean, why would you do that? That's like
Bingo.
denying 50% of your ingredients in something. You're not gonna do that, man. Come on.
Exactly. So if you're out there watching and you're missing out on IDP, make sure to come see what all the hype is about.
Yep.
You can thank us later.
Yep.
And I can't tell you how much no one, unless you play IDP, won't understand. Like your running back just doing a 5-yard run and getting tackled by your linebacker. Like how much excitement comes from a small play like that? You have no idea.
Yeah,
the entertainment.
It's like, yeah, it's just another dimension. It's just another level to add to your game. And you know, it's just like adding texture, it's salt, you know, it's spice, it's flavor. It's like, why would you deny that from yourself? So join an IDP 1-2-3 league, y'all. They're an easy format to get accustomed to. The scoring makes sense. And there's a lot of people that can help you out that understand that right here in this room or on Twitter. And you already know what's up. So that's all from me, I guess. I appreciate you again having me on. Thanks for, co-hosting on the channel. Appreciate you there. Hopefully we're going to get some more subscribers this off season. We're both just going to take off. All 4 of us. Fuck it. Let's go.
Hell yeah, man. 2021 is ours. Let's get it.
Yeah.
We're going to kill it, guys. I'm excited. 2021 is here. Ready to kill these seasons. We're starting with dynasty stuff. I know a bunch of people here are going to be putting out rankings, dynasty info. So the fantasy football season does not end as far as your prep work for next season. So let's get it, guys. Thanks for joining, everybody. Appreciate Iggy, Jordan, Patrick. Thanks for being here with me, guys. This was a bunch of fun. Hang out with me really quick after the outro, and we'll see everybody later. Peace out.
Thank you, everybody. It was a pleasure.
Peace.
Are you ready, Jerry?
I'm ready.
Just want to make sure you're ready, brother. Show me the money.
Oh, you didn't know?
Every day I'm hustling, every day I'm hustling, every day I'm hustling.
Put my shoes on, you wouldn't last a mile. Summertime, wintertime, money grind. Yeah, I got the ring, I'm the champ, I'm the genie of the lamp.
This is the gift I was given, so I just live by my hustle.
It's all about the Benjamins, baby. It's all about the Benjamins, baby. It's all about the Benjamins, baby.
Yeah, I keep it in my pocket. It don't make sense, but don't make a profit. So I hustle, ladies and homies. Make money, money.
Call out here for a pill. Really tryna get this money for the real.
I want to find a thing to save my life, so I hustle.
It ain't over for me. No, it ain't over for me.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
Okay, let's go smoke that joint.